So hello guys, welcome to Swing for Pips channel. Today we are having the weekly outlook in the Forex market for 26th of May to 30th of May. All right, that's next week. Let's see what the market is going to have for us. Okay. So hope you enjoyed your trading last week. I hope you had lessons to learn, and I also hope that the pips were with you right now. So this week we are going to be looking at some currency pairs, what we did last week, and what we are looking forward to see if we are going to have some fishing this coming week. Okay, so we had an interesting week. We had an interesting week last week, some trading session last week, and I also recall some lessons for those of us that have been following. Okay, so of course, here in Sweep for Pips, the first thing we always like to start with is the fundamentals. Then we look at the monthly time frame, the weekly time frame, the daily time frame, and the 4 hour as our culture right here in Swing for Pips. All right, so I from last week I've been focusing on the US dollar because the US dollar, that's the Federal Reserve, has been the place where we've been actually having some very interesting figures, some very interesting data coming out for the US dollar as compared to other currencies. Okay, the US dollar being the center focus of everybody. All right, so fundamentally speaking, in a summary, we've spoke about the GDP report that came out negative 0.3, below zero, spoken about the manufacturing PMI that came out below 50, and of course the Moody's report, which I broke down in some reels, some short video during the week. And then also, of course, we also have the US-China war that have been bedeviling the US economy, and of course the US dollar. And we can see the way it has been falling like a knife. Okay, it has been taking a nosedive towards the south. So, like I mentioned, that we'll keep selling the US dollar, or whatever opportunity we get, we keep selling the US dollar because fundamentally speaking, the US dollar is bearish. So, what we've been seeing over time from the first quarter of this month, of this year to till today, is that because of this data that have been coming out of the US economy, okay, we've been having some selling opportunities over time. I've advised over time also that you should desist and keep away from buying the US dollar at this moment. If you're buying the US dollar, if you find buy opportunities according to your strategy, you shouldn't hold it for too long, all right? You may just want to do some quick scalp and leave the market. But for the best turn of events in terms of trading for you is to actually dump the US dollar, sell it against other currency pairs. Okay. So someone asked me over the week that why is it that I'm not talking about the fundamentals of other currency pairs? That's because there's nothing interesting coming out of those pairs, of those countries. Okay. The CPI data are not making impact, the employment data are not making impact, the GDP reports are not actually making impact right now because we're actually in a global recession. Okay, the economy of all nations have slowed down. All right, so we're looking at actually the third quarter and the fourth quarter for things to pick up. I think there was some CPI reports came out, that was last week, and we saw some higher than the previous data that have been coming out. Okay, without much further ado, like I said, our central focus right now is the US dollar and what has been happening in the US economy, okay, in the US territory. So, since we've had the fundamentals out of the way, why don't we go and let's talk about the technicals because we are technical traders, but like I always advise us here, that we should always keep an eye for the fundamentals because fundamentals can actually mess up your trading if you ignore it, okay? You have to respect the fundamentals, all right? So this week we'll be talking about again, of course, the DXY. We had this almost about, I think, 80% of these pairs here. We had them on last week analysis. So to do you some good to go back to the outlook analysis we had for last week, and then watch that video before you watch this one. Okay, if you have not watched that video, pause this video, go back and watch that video so that you can have a good flow as to where we're coming from and where we're going to. So this week we're still going to talk about the DXY, the AUD USD, the Euro USD, the USD card. Then as for the JPY, we're only going to pick one pair from the basket, which is the NZD JPY, and then we look at the Euro card and then the powered NSD. So without much further ado, let's get into the business of the subject matter of the day. So come with me to the table that we've actually prepared from last week. Those of us that have been following, we prepared this table. This is actually a summary of what the analysis we do from the previous week, and also to give us a guide as to what we should be looking at, in the coming week. It's not every time. We'll have to always go back to the chart to analyze. Okay. So what you want to do is to plot a table like this and make sure to just give you a summary. So just at a glance, I can tell you what I'm looking forward to in the DXY, the AUD USD, the Euro USD, the USD card, the yen basket, and the NZD JPY. Okay, I can always look back and say, okay, all right, this is where I am in the chart. Okay, so I don't have to always keep going. But in fact, I don't even have to open my chart. If at all I'm going to open my chart, I'm looking for buying opportunity that's the entry opportunities either on the daily or on the 4 hour. Okay, so be it as it may, let's go to the DXY. Okay, let's see if the DXY still hold true for this analysis that we still have. Okay, so starting with the DXY right here. Okay, starting with the DXY, of course, after the fundamentals, the next thing we do is to go to the monthly time frame. Okay, we can see what is happening here. Like we've established already that we are in the bullish, that the monthly is bullish. Okay, because this general is still being respected. It has not been violated. It has not been eliminated. It is still going upwards. Okay, so on the monthly, we maintain that price is actually bullish. Okay, so what we are going to see, that's when we look at the weekly, the daily, and the 4 hours, that we're actually looking for price to trade into this zone here. Okay, and then we'll buy it to the upside, or that's on the monthly, or it comes down to this zone and then we buy to the upside. Okay, all right, so we'll be waiting for price to do that for us to react to price in buying, into the monthly time frame. Okay, so as from last week, if you note, last week I still tried to keep the analysis from last week so that we can have a flow into what we're actually trying to do here today. Okay, so if I zoom into this area here, all right, I had marked out the weekly here. Okay, this is the weekly supply, and that weekly supply, depending on where price want to turn. So our target from last week was that price was going to actually come into this weekly zone right here. Okay, before going down, but price did not do that. Okay, see what price is doing. Price is actually printing almost a finished weekly. By the close of today, we'll be seeing a close of a weekly candle. Okay, and this is a very strong bearish candle. All right, so what we are saying is that, we've established that on the weekly, that the weekly is on a downtrend. Okay, from last week, that's why I said you should go back and watch last week's video. All right, we established that the weekly is on a downtrend. Okay, that we're looking for bearish opportunities to this downside. So we're looking for price to trade probably either to this zone here on the weekly. So we'll be looking for selling opportunities to this zone going upward, or if price comes to violate this monthly demand zone, all right, we'll also look for price to come all the way here before going upwards. Okay, all right, so let's not forget that the monthly time frame is our commander in chief. So it is what the monthly time frame tells us to do that we are going to do. However, we've seen what the weekly is trying to do. Okay, so we're also going to go down to the daily time frame. Okay, so the daily time frame also we establish that it is bearish. Okay, it is a sell for the daily time frame. Okay, we can see what price is doing right here. You can see that price has been trending down. So our target was during the week was that price will come into this zone here, then we'll sell from here. Okay, we wanted to catch some buys into this zone before coming to this, before take a sell here before price will actually eventually go down. But we never got that. What we got during the week was that price actually came here from last week, and then can you see this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? So we've been selling all throughout the week. Okay, so now price have decided to respect this trend line. You see, it has come back underneath this trend line, this bearish trend line here. So it has further reaffirming to us that price is bearish. So we're looking for price this week. We're looking for price to actually trade into this zone right here. Okay, so we go down to the 4 hour. Now, something interesting happened. Okay, from last week, we saw that price was actually doing this. Okay, last week we had this. Okay, so our prediction then was that price will come to break this high here. Okay, which price did? Price broke to the upside. Okay, and then so we were actually looking for either some buy positions. That's from here, this demand zone here. We're hoping that price will give us a buy entry, from here into this zone, but price did not do that. Okay, price violated our 4 hour, our 4 hour, this 4 hour demand zone here, and now the 4 hour is bearish, totally bearish. So what we're looking for right now is for price to, that's in the coming week, is for price to do something like this, give us a demand zone right here, come into this demand zone and then go down. Or if it's creates another supply zone, we're going to sell from there into this zone right here. Okay, so don't forget, here in swing for pips, we only react, we only react, we don't assume. Okay, so price actually gave us an entry around here, but I wasn't on my screen to actually catch this entry that time. But we're also looking for other opportunities to present itself during the week. Okay, so that's it for the DXY. And you know that we don't actually place trade on the DXY, we place trade on the flip currencies of the DXY, which could be the AUD USD, the USD CAD, or the Euro USD, as we've listed in our intro, during the intro of this video. Okay, so without much further ado, okay, let's look at the AUD USD. From the AUD USD, okay, remember, like I said, the ADUS is a flip of the whatever analysis you're doing on DXY. We also translate opposites, as an alternate to the AUD USD. So on the monthly time frame, all right, so we're looking to sell the AUD USD. Okay, since this trend line have not been violated, so on the monthly, the AUD USD is bearish. Okay, on the weekly, we actually have it to be bullish on the weekly, because see, it has eliminated this trend line, this bearish trend line, and going to the upward and going to the upside. Okay, so now last week we actually had our hopes that price will actually react of all the supply zone, come down here and then go up, but price did not do that. This is what we had this week. You can see that we can see this bullish candle here. So we're thinking that these bearish candles, okay, on the weekly will actually hold true and push price to the downside, but we saw price still pushing to the upside. Okay, we saw price pushing to the upside. All right, so our analysis still hold that on the weekly price is bullish. So I see price actually eliminating the whole of this weekly demand zone. Okay, I see price eliminating the whole of this weekly supply zone rather. Okay, I see price eliminating this zone and then actually pushing to the upside. That's the weekly now going up to realign with the monthly before going down. Okay, so this analysis from last week actually still holds true. Okay, still holds true, because we can see this our annotation here on the monthly time frame. So we have a weekly zone here that is nested in the monthly zone. So price may likely, okay, make this move here, okay, before going to the downside. All right, so now we go to the daily. Okay, now this week we had these markings on the daily right from last week's analysis. Okay, we're actually looking at either price will break below this line here or break below this line here. Okay, come down and do this, but price did not do that. Okay, price still push to the upside. Remember how I mentioned that daily is actually bullish. The daily is bullish at the moment. Okay, and also we are also on a consolidation. We're also in a consolidation, that's in a range. So we have to actually sit on our hands, be patient, and see what price will do. Okay, we'll allow price to either break this line here or break this line here before we can take a decision as to what we're looking to do. Okay, so on the 4 hour, we also had the same scenario playing out. Okay, where price is still in a range, we cannot do anything much here. We wait for price to either break here or break here before we can actually make a decision. However, bear in mind that the monthly is bullish. Sorry, the monthly is bearish, the weekly is bullish, the daily is bullish, and the 4 hour is bullish. All right, so depending on what price presents for us during the week, we are going to act accordingly. Of course, I'm going to keep you guys updated. For those of us that are in the mentorship group, we know what to do during the week. Okay, so we move to the Euro USD. So the Euro USD is actually a direct flip of the DXY. I've always said that. Okay, so now we have price pushing to the upside. Okay, but however, mind you, the monthly time frame is bearish. Okay, because we are still underneath this trend line. Price have not come to eliminate this supply zone right here. So we still remain bearish on the monthly time frame. Then on the weekly, okay, we also have this. You can see that price have eliminated this trend line and also eliminated kind of a bit violated this trend line. Okay, and then it has also eliminated this supply zone right here. This supply zone right here. Okay, please go back and watch the video and don't forget to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, click your notification bell so that you can always get updates when we pop them out. All right, so this is what we're having on the weekly for the Euro USD is bullish. Okay, so of course we established that because we can even see this trend line here, though it is a very steep trend line. This trend line right here, this one here. Okay, all right, so it's bullish and price is still respecting the trend line. You can see price actually trading back into the trend line. All right, so we can, so now this is this, can you see this annotation on the chart here? This annotation here, these blue lines that we have drawn out. Okay, our prediction from last week was that price will actually do this, come down to take out this zone right here, this zone, and then go down to the go downwards. But of course, it's what is happening is that our fundamentals are playing out. Okay, the US dollar is really weak, and the euro and other currency pair are actually having their way. All right, they're actually beating the US dollar. Okay, so you can see the fundamentals playing out. Okay, the US dollar is weak and the euro is actually taking advantage of that. So you can see that price is still going bullish. Okay, so what we are to be looking for is price to provide some bullish momentum, that's some bullish entry signals to the upside. Okay, but we have to be very careful with this one. We have to be very, very careful, as what I want to do is that I want price to actually, can you see this blue line here, this blue zone rather, this blue zone right here? I want price to come and eliminate this zone. Okay, I want price to do this before we act. I want price to actually break this area here, come back, go up. Okay, probably it may come and create for us, let's say maybe another demand zone, a demand zone right here, and then it will come down. I look for price to come down to this point here, and then sell to the upside. Like I said, yes, we're predicting, we don't assume, but we are always reactive to what the market condition is saying at the moment. Okay, so our analysis still holds true. The monthly is bearish, the weekly is bullish, the daily is bullish, and the 4 hour is also bullish. Okay, the 4 hour is very, very, very bullish. All right, so we can see price actually still holding this trend line, this bullish trend line, or going upwards. Okay, so same thing here. I also want price to come and take out this zone right here. Okay, I want price to come and take out this zone right here, go to the upside, come down, probably create a demand zone for us, give us an entry, and then we go to the upside. Okay, so that's it for the Euro USD. Okay, that's it for the Euro USD. Then this, we go to the USD card, same thing. Actually, what I'm actually expecting from the USD card is this. Of course, you can see that the USD card is bullish because this trend line is still being maintained. All right, and this zone right here have not been eliminated. This is the most valid zone. Okay, this zone is the most valid zone on the monthly. That's this zone right here. It's the most valid zone on the monthly. So we're looking for price to actually trade into this zone on the monthly and then kick off. Okay, don't forget to first had it here in swing for pips. Please always make reference to this video when you're doing your analysis. And I keep saying, please don't take my word for it. Go back to your closet, do your analysis, do your due diligence before you take your entries. Now we go to the weekly time frame. So what we're having is this. We can see that price have been making these moves to the downside here. Okay, you can see that price have been making this moves to the downside. So on the monthly time frame, okay, on the monthly time frame, price is actually bullish, but it's in a bullish consolidation. Bullish consolidation in the sense that the bullish trend line have not been eliminated. Okay, this bullish trend line has not been eliminated, and it is actually coming into this zone here, and this zone here also have not been eliminated. Okay, so I'm actually my best buy. My best buy is actually on the USD card is for price to come to this zone right here. It's for price to come into this zone right here before going to the upside. So I'm not actually looking to take trades on the daily time frame, on the 4 hour time frame. I'm stopping at the weekly time frame, and what I'm actually looking at is to go long in this area right here. Okay, and then I'll see price coming all the way to the top. So this is actually my analysis for the USD card. Okay, the monthly and the weekly, I'm stopping there because there's not much activity going on in the daily time frame, because the normal thing, you can see that price have actually eliminated this zone right here. So price have returned to being bearish on the daily time frame. So in daily time frame we are bearish. Okay, so price actually we're actually looking for price to trade into this zone, okay, before going to the upside. Same thing with the 4 hour. Okay, same thing to the 4 hour. Okay, you can, those of us who want to pick quick sales, you can actually look for short opportunities to this point here before taking it to the upside. Okay, let's not forget that the fundamentals are still playing out, and we are going to react accordingly as price give us the inspiration to. All right, so like I said, my entry zone, my entry time frame for the USD card is actually the weekly time frame. Okay, I'm going to be buying the whole of this zone right here to the upside.